It's been more than 2,000 years since Vitruvius wrote his 10-volume treatise on architecture. That means architecture has existed as a documented discipline for at least 2 millennia. A lot more than that if the Egyptians had spent as much time documenting their pyramid building as they did building them. But architecture didn't become an actual profession until the Renaissance. Before that, there was no such thing as an architect. Until then, it was all philosophers, master craftsmen, artisans, and masons. What happened during the Renaissance is that architectural knowledge was downloaded from books into the minds of architects like Palladio, who would sell their expertise for money, and what was previously a public body of knowledge became ring-fenced in a licensed profession. The point is that the architecture profession is at least 600 years old, and nowadays architecture can all too easily seem exclusive and inaccessible. And when the likes of Carlo Ratti, Rem Koolhaas and David Chipperfield all claim that architecture is in a sort of crisis, then perhaps it's time for us to sit up and take note. But is this still what we need from architecture? Surely the expectation now is that architects know everything from the complexity of designing the buildings and places we work and live in, to the orientation of our streets and the sizes of our bedrooms, and how the way that all these things integrate will impact the shape of our world for decades to come. And whether we like it or not, a change is coming. In fact, it's already here. The digital revolution is changing the architecture of architecture itself. New digital technology is something Vitruvius and Palladio never needed to think about in their time. But here it is, and it presents a unique and historic opportunity for architects to reinvent themselves as central to the production of the built environment. But how? Well, first we need to actively embrace the fundamentals of internet-era technologies and rethink how architectural knowledge can be distributed and accessed instantaneously across the globe to anyone with an internet connection. And we need to do it now, because it will happen with or without us. If we don't, our profession will simply go the same way as so many others. This change is actually already upon us. Technology-minded firms are already delivering this more evolved digital iteration of architecture. Some are delivering generative design tools for massing, layout, and feasibility modeling. Others are linking knowledge across the full building lifecycle from construction all the way to occupation. Some firms are measuring how humans behave in different spaces to optimize the layout of buildings and public spaces. And others are already creating digital platforms where architects can upload designs to be published and distributed online. If necessity is the mother of invention, then evolution is possibly the daughter of opportunity. If a thing can change, it probably will change. And digital technology is changing everything about the way we organize and distribute knowledge. To assume that just because architecture has been around for centuries, that somehow it's immune to change is naive at best and reckless at worst. Because if we don't actively define our new role into this future, we will be written out, and we will fail to protect our centuries of knowledge from being co-opted like so many other information-based industries before us. So let's join these new kids and technologies and create the new business models and approaches to intellectual property before it's too late. Let's follow their lead in building and mastering these new technologies that will ensure our knowledge remains accessible and beneficial to everyone. One doesn't have to look far to see the consequences of leaving this kind of evolutionary change to privately owned corporations alone. Why should any tech megacorporation that creates the architectural algorithms and platforms of the future that will design the places that we live and work in worry about us? That's not their responsibility, it's ours. Surely architecture and its centuries of carefully accrued knowledge has a responsibility to serve society and the greater good. If we act now, we could open up architectural knowledge to all those that need it. That knowledge would then also benefit from the scrutiny and contribution of other architects, of everyone who has ever been able to access it. Just imagine what architecture could achieve for the people and places across the globe if we took it upon ourselves to work together, to open up our knowledge, create an architectural wiki or a GitHub for architecture. If we wake up, look to the future and use the digital technology on our doorstep to reconstruct architecture fit for the 21st century.